Hello y'all and welcome back to my channel. Marquita here with a very special video today. This particular video is actually featuring two children's books that I ordered. Yes, you heard that. Children's books. No, I don't have kids and I don't even teach them anymore, but these are two books that I felt like I want to have in my own personal library and maybe for my future children one day. I felt like these were two important stories to have, and I wanted to be able to keep them and have them, also to maybe recommend to some friends and family and even some of my former teaching colleagues, because I think that these books can serve a purpose in both the home and at school. And they are both dealing with representation for the Black and brown community, and in particular for Black girls. Now, one of the books could probably be used for both boys and girls because it talks about the uniqueness of one's name. So that first book is called My Name is a Story by Ashanti. And if you're not familiar with Ashanti, there's a picture of Ashanti, the real Ashanti. And she is a singer and songwriter and, of course, author. She's also written some or published some of her own like poetry and some other things a few years ago that went along with her very first album. So this is not her first time writing anything or publishing anything, but this is her first children's book. And My Name is a Story. It's also illustrated by Monica Mackay. It's important to always list the illustrator when you're talking about children's books. But this particular book is very unique because it talks about the uniqueness of one's name and how it's important to embrace that and to understand that even though your name may not be like everyone else's, it may be a little different. That's what makes you unique, or that's what makes it unique, and that's also what makes you unique. And of course, the main character's name is Ashanti, and Ashanti is kind of telling this from a personal standpoint. She's talking about how having a name that can be different and unique, how sometimes that can make you feel as a child when people can't pronounce it, can't spell it, or just don't understand why you have a different or unique name compared to maybe everyone else in your class. This book is recommended for ages 4 through 8. That's your target audience. However, I do think this is important to have for pretty much anybody, and you could even put it in a high school. My last 4 years teaching, I taught high school English, and we did use children's books sometimes to prove the point that you can kind of do the skill set that we were trying to teach them at for any level, any book, but also to show like how you can pull meaning from all types of books, including children's books. So with My Name is a Story, I think it provides representation for Black and brown people in general, and especially those who have very unique names. And the names may be unique to American society, or to if you have, say, a majority white class, or you have a white teacher who is not familiar with, more culturally based names, then books like this can be very helpful, because children can go to school and they may have a name that doesn't seem unique for your household or for your family or for your culture, but then when they go out into the world, everybody does not know your culture. They don't understand the purpose that comes behind names, especially in Black and brown communities. Almost every minority community has some very deep significance when it comes to naming. If you think back to African tribes, and it may not always be your first name, it could be a last name. When you have multiple names, a lot of people always talk about like Hispanic families. A lot of times that dual name that represents both sides of the family. And so typically in America, unless somebody is keeping their maiden name and then their married name, they may hyphenate it. A lot of times people just have one last name. And so when you don't understand, or if you aren't aware of how different cultures function when it comes to names, then you can be accidentally making someone feel bad because you don't understand why they have a name that to you may sound strange, or maybe even like just doesn't follow any of the phonetics that you know, and you wonder why would that child's parent name them such a name. And I think this book is a good reminder for both children and adults about the uniqueness of names, and that names do carry stories and they carry meaning. So the summary for this particular story is that Ashanti, the character, she's in school. She is enjoying it. She likes her teacher. Her friends. They're all having fun, enjoying all the things that, school has to offer. And then they come down to the time where they have to practice their names. And so she writes her name on the board when it's her turn. And she's telling them, Ashanti, like that's her name. So the kids are trying to pronounce it, and they're not meaning to be rude or, make her feel bad, but they really are kind of like, they've never heard a name like that before. So they're like, what kind of name is that? And they're also mispronouncing her name, not on purpose, but because think about like a kindergarten child trying to pronounce a name such as Ashanti, or even any multi-syllabic name, or even word, for a kindergartner, unless they have been, working with people beforehand or been practicing that. It may be a little difficult for them just naturally, not for them trying to be mean or rude. And so then enter the teacher, who also doesn't know how to say your name or pronounce your name, or acts, like they're struggling when they say your name. The way that they say it just gives that vibe like they're thinking something's not wrong with it, but they're kind of struggling to pronounce it as well. Then you, as that kindergarten child, probably feel a little bad about yourself, even though the intentions of those people around you aren't to make you feel bad. They truly are curious, or they truly are trying to get your name correct. So with Ashanti's character, when she experiences this with her classmates, she goes home and she tells her mom, like everybody else in her class has like, pretty normal average names like Rose and Alex and, things that mostly simple one syllable names, or names that are pretty common and everybody can pronounce and spell. And then here she is with her name that people struggle to pronounce, and they're thinking something wrong, not necessarily wrong, but she's thinking something is wrong because her name seems to be so hard. And so her mom kind of cheers her up and gives her a little pep talk by telling her the story behind her name, not just the general meaning, but she kind of tells a wonderful little story that helps Ashanti understand like unique. And what she tells Ashanti is, your name is unique and so are you. So because it's different, this is what all of this uniqueness represents. And so once she does that, then Ashanti starts to feel good about herself again. And so when she goes into school the next day, she actually turns her name into a little story to help her classmates and her teacher with understanding not only her name itself, but kind of understanding what it all represents and what it stands for. So hence the name of the book, My Name is a Story, because Ashanti essentially helps people with understanding her name, and she gains an understanding of her name through a story about her name. So I really like the book, and I like the way that they presented that by helping everybody understand the significance behind the uniqueness in her name, especially with today's classroom. Probably in most cases is very, very diverse, so you can have names, and that was something that was at the end of this book, was that it was a very, very diverse name board where they had everybody write, all the classmates or all the students write their names on the board. And you can see here like just the variety of names from not just Black people, but also other people of color, like maybe Middle Eastern as well. And so it's typical that people from Black American cultures will have more unique names for various reasons. And a lot of times they are mispronounced, especially if they're in the environment where they may be one of a few people of color or minority in their school or class. Then it can be even more important to make sure that that name is pronounced correctly and that they are recognized for their uniqueness and their difference in a positive way, and not making them feel like, well, my teacher can't pronounce my name and all of these things, and making them feel like being different or unique is bad. The next thing that I want to show you, and I haven't even opened it yet because the package is so cute, and that is the packaging for my next book here. I want to open it with you. This just came today. So the mailer, this is from Brianna Loren. And the book is called Pretty Pretty Black Girl. And of course, you can tell by the title, it's going to have something to do with a black girl, and also by the image here. Now, this book is another book that can be helpful for self-esteem purposes. And this particular audience would obviously be little black girls. And we know that with all the differences that black women and girls can experience, especially at a young age when you're talking about like hair, skin tone, all of those things, these reminders can be so important. Okay. So this is a paperback book. That first one, you can probably tell the Ashanti book was a hardcover. But this one, Pretty Pretty Black Girl by Brianna Loren, is paperback. Now, she did release an earlier edition of this book. So if you go on Amazon, you may see it with a different cover. I believe the cover is black with white writing in pink as well. But she redid the book with the illustrations. And that's why I ordered it, because it was just such a beautiful book. So if you saw, I did a video on some other things I ordered from Brianna that were more for me. They were the by Save Your Edges workbook, which is kind of like a self-reflection, personal help workbook that you can go through. And then I also ordered the book Edge Control for the Soul. So I'll go ahead and throw those up there as well. And I'll also link that video for you if you want to take a peek at those things for the adult women that may be watching this. But this particular book is for the kids, and it's called Pretty Pretty Black Girl. And like I said, I don't have kids. I don't even teach kids anymore, but I wanted this book because I saw a sneak peek of some of the illustrations, and I knew it was going to be gorgeous. Now, this book has actually been out in terms of the Pretty Pretty Black Girl book, but it was a different version of the book in terms of, it wasn't the illustrated. This is like the illustration edition. So if you just want the book in terms of the words, you don't care about the pictures, then you can also order the other edition, but that's available on Amazon. But this one is the newer edition with the illustrations, which I think is well worth it. So I would recommend ordering this one as well. If you already have the other one, or if you're wondering which one to get, I would get this one, especially if you have young children. And this will be a great book for any library, again, personal or professional, if you're a teacher, to have, regardless of what your demographics look like, because again, representation matters. And even if, say, you are a teacher and you might say, I got all white kids, I don't have any black kids in my class, this book can still be helpful, and so can the My Name is a Story, because it still provides exposure to those different cultures and groups that your students may eventually come in contact with and interact with, even if they aren't interacting with them right now in the current state of their class. So Pretty Pretty Black Girl is full of affirmations. I just had a quick flip through it. The illustrations are phenomenal. I really love them. They represent little girls of all skin tones, all, shapes, sizes, hair types, everything. When you think about little girls in general, little black girls in general, how we come in all shades, shapes, sizes, even situations. There's a little girl in a wheelchair. So no matter what you look like in any way, shape, or form as a black girl, you are a pretty, pretty black girl. And I think that is such an important message to give to little black girls, especially at a very young age, because that is when they need it the most, when you start early, so that they know when they hit school, somebody's teasing them about their hair, somebody's teasing them about being dark skinned, whatever the case may be, or just not being light enough. They don't have to be dark skinned. They could just be darker than some of their other peers. If somebody's teasing them, whatever the case may be, it's important for them to be able to have strong self-esteem and understand that they're beautiful no matter what. They need to see the beauty in themselves and not look for that validation from the outside as well. So I'm gonna read the back of the book. It says, Pretty Pretty Black Girl. The children's book is filled with beautiful illustrations and inspiring affirmations that will help black girls feel appreciated, loved, and confident. Each page encourages acceptance, challenges stereotypes, and has powerful words that black girls can use to feel proud of who they are. and build self-esteem. Pretty, pretty black girl, you are loved, seen, and not alone. And just that message on the back is good enough. But the book itself just there's a learning guide. So if you're using this in a classroom, you can use this. Or even if you're reading this as like a, story to your daughter or niece or child, you can use that learning guide to kind of help do some before, during, and after the story, and even create an activity that the two of you can do together. And so it's just a reminder that no matter what you look like, or what your features or characteristics and everything may be, you are still, unique and special. And that's something that I think would be beneficial for all little girls, but especially little black girls, to know that you are who you are, and just to keep reinforcing the fact that no matter what you look like, even if you aren't, if you're the only one dark-skinned girl in the group of all other, the light-skinned girls or whatever, like, you are still just as valuable, just as important, just as smart, just as pretty. Those are things that need to be reinforced as much as possible, especially at the young age, so that as kids get older and they start to deal with those things, then they have some foundation. So I really like that book for this. And again, like I said, I would highly recommend getting this version, although there is another version that doesn't have the illustrations. And I believe she also made kind of like a mini movie of it as well that you can find on YouTube. Again, I will link this, the website, Brianna Loren is the website. So I'll link that down below as well, so that you can check out the other things on the site, as well as order a copy of Pretty Pretty Black Girl. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to put any questions, comments down below. And also feel free to drop down any other children's books that may be culturally or racially diverse that you want to put down in the comments, or that you might want to throw out, so other people can check them out as well. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.